Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel as we're going to discuss the upcoming Virgo New Moon happening on August 27th, 2022 at 4:16 a.m. That's Eastern Time, so please adjust for your location on the planet. The Virgo New Moon is happening at 4 degrees of Virgo in your chart, where we have the sun and the moon together. And this is when the sky is the darkest. This is when there are new potentials that we are growing, developing, building. And it is based on what you're ready to experience next, where you have Virgo in your chart. So you identify 4 degrees of Virgo by house, as house is the location or environment of life where this new moon is beckoning you to do something in a different way, to begin a new cycle, and to initiate something that's best for you within the Virgo themes. Now, Virgo is about how we take care of our energy on a daily basis. This is where you are aware of what you need to tend to. It involves our daily work, how we're of service, what we do on a daily basis. I even think of Virgo as our daily devotions, our daily responsibilities, our daily commitments that create our life. And Virgo is also about how we care for ourselves at a mind-body level. And that's one of the connections in Virgo, is that it does bring together the strength of the mind and the strength of the body. So there could be themes emerging for you here during this new moon that bring your attention to matters of health, nutrition, exercise, lifestyle. What are you ready to improve or change? What would serve you better? The Virgo energy often wants to be of service in some capacity. It can be a very reliable and responsible sign. It is also the energy of improvement, healing, finding solutions, looking at what we can do better, but in a way that doesn't require some unrealistic standards of perfection, that doesn't come across as too critical, or that doesn't create guilt. Meaning, we're meant to be aware of our humanness and to continue to look at what we can improve while fully accepting the reality of this moment and the blessings that are all around us. So Virgo is the energy of where we basically tend to our own energy, where you care for yourself at that mental and physical level, and how that supports your energy and what you can do on a daily basis. Now, in this chart, we actually only have one significant aspect to the sun and the moon, and that is from Mars at 4 degrees of Gemini, squaring the sun and the moon. Mars has just entered Gemini and will stay here until March 2023. So we are just beginning these Mars and Gemini energies. And Mars in Gemini is about choices, options, multitasking, perhaps feeling like you're being pulled in multiple directions at once. Mars is good in Gemini at understanding the duality of our lives and what we can take care of over here while also being adaptable and taking care of things over there. But also this Mars can be tending to too many things and not get anything done, not really complete a single item, be too scattered, and potentially too overwhelmed by choices. So the square here to the sun and the moon in Virgo is potentially frustration at what you want to do, but then the Virgo energy asks you how. How are you going to do that? What's the process? What's the steps? Let's look at this and define it and basically put into place some kind of process or system that's going to work to help you accomplish what you need to do. But Mars in Gemini is not wanting to sit still. There's a restlessness with Mars in Gemini. There's a sense of, well, no, I don't want to put together a plan. I just want to do what I want to do, move some things forward, and figure it out along the way. So the square here could be a sense of what choice do I make? Where do I direct my energy? What do I focus on? Now, both the energies of Gemini and Virgo share the rulership of Mercury. Virgo is co-ruled by both Chiron and Mercury is now at 1 degree of Libra. Let me adjust this. I know it's cut off. So here we have Mercury at 1 degree of Libra, where Mercury is strong. Mercury in Libra is about conversation, communication, sharing your thoughts, talking it out, interacting with others to get their feedback, hear what they have to say. This is an objective Mercury who can hear differences and who looks for solutions and potential win-wins. So this Mercury is making a trine here to Mars in Gemini, activating more of the mental body, communication, information, ideas, figuring things out. What are the solutions? So that connection here to Mercury can ease the frustration with the square to the Virgo planets, because Virgo is going to want something more defined, as the earth signs do. The earth signs are evidential. Show me. What's the documentation? Write it down. Make a list. What are you aiming for here? Let's gain some clarity. Whereas this Mars working with Mercury in Libra is good with the conversation and just exploring things, right? You have a conversation to talk things out. So that could be one way to move the energy that is stuck as Mars makes that square to both the Sun and the Moon in Virgo. Now, important to note that this new moon is happening at 4 degrees, which is in the first decan of Virgo. The first decan is between 0 to 9 degrees of each astrological sign. So it's really in the beginning stages of the Virgo energy that's going to help move through an ongoing process. So something happens here that's going to unfold over Virgo season that you're meant to take further, explore, redefine even, and correct, because Virgo can find the errors and can find how to improve it. So part of the Virgo journey is to keep an eye on any of that perfectionism or very high standards that aren't always obtainable. This is where you say, okay, we'll just try again. You stay in that adaptable energy of Virgo, which is one of the strengths of the mutable signs. So anything you're ready to change, improve, do differently, the Virgo energy is going to help you ground that in and perhaps test it a bit. See what works, see what the results are, see what develops from there, and then understand what you can improve or switch up later on, especially later on in Virgo season. Now, something else I wanted to call out about this chart is that we have Venus in Leo, Sun and Moon in Virgo, and Mercury in Libra. These are the only planets that are going to be moving through this area of the zodiac, because Mars will be going retrograde in Gemini and will not get to these astrological signs until next year. So here we have these 4 planets. I'm counting the Sun and the Moon as planets, even though they are luminaries. Even though they are moving through these parts of your chart, the energy is helping to balance out perhaps more of what's been happening where the outer planets are. But these are faster moving energies, meaning they're going to be passing through. They aren't going to be as influential or as significant, but they are opening up more of the Leo, Virgo, Libra energies that we need to balance out these other powerful energies on this side of the zodiac. Another thing to note is that Mercury is in his shadow zone now, as he will be stationing retrograde in September. September 10th at 8 degrees of Libra and voyaging back to 24 degrees of Virgo until October 2nd. So Mercury is in his shadow zone territory, which means that whatever is being discussed, analyzed, looked at, shared, it will be revisited during Mercury retrograde, again, September 10th until October 2nd. So just a heads up about that. We'll be talking about it more as we move into September, but always good to have a heads up about those upcoming Mercury retrogrades and where they're showing up in your chart. Now, the other thing that stands out here is how we have this Venus at 19 degrees of Leo now opposing Saturn at 20 degrees of Aquarius retrograde. And the opposition here is usually one of a stop, a no, a challenge, or a denial. And that's because Saturn is the timekeeper that basically is saying it's not time. And there can be something removed or shut down that relates to the Venus areas of our lives, including finances, what we value, what we want, money, choices we're making about what we want to do next. This Venus in Leo is a sign of attachment. She gets attached to things that she wants, that she desires. And here we have this Saturn giving her a no. So there could be something that you desire, you want, and it's not coming together just yet, but it could certainly come up in another form. But with this opposition to Saturn, there can be a tightness, disappointment, a letdown. You get the idea. So that's good to keep in mind if you're making any financial decisions or choices. Oftentimes this is not good for making those kinds of decisions just yet, because if you're looking for someone else's approval, if you're needing someone else to invest or buy in or say yes, Saturn is often a no, especially if that person is older, they're an authority, they're an expert, they're a mentor. They're probably going to give you a no. So keep that in mind here around the Virgo new moon. Also important to note that this Venus just had a square to both North Node and Uranus in Taurus, which means she also squared the South Node in Scorpio. The square there to the North Node and Uranus is giving her new insights into what she wants, and it's certainly a shift in her value system. But what's interesting is that Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and so she's the ruler of these energies. So that's why something is changing for her at a personal level, and that's something you could be feeling around what you no longer want that might surprise you, what you no longer need, what you no longer value. There's always surprises whenever Uranus is involved, and it is the more powerful energy working with that North Node. So there could be things that you've been reevaluating and reconsidering that you're letting go of. And maybe there are things you didn't think you would let go of, like it's surprising even you. But keep in mind that Venus has been moving through some powerful energies here in the second half of August, and that's where she could even feel that she's not getting what she wants. But once she moves past this opposition to Saturn, the energy is going to loosen up, it's going to open up, and then she's going to be able to come back into herself and say, okay, what do I really need right now? What gives me life? What gives me a sense of joy and playfulness? And, what really connects to more of what I desire? So I feel like after this Virgo new moon, she will be let off the hook, so to speak, but she's definitely been moving through intense energies. And these are the energies we've been talking about because we've had so much happening in the fixed signs between 18 to 22 degrees of the fixed signs. So now Venus has entered the conversation and she's basically making some new decisions for herself that, again, maybe she is even surprised by. Important to note that all of these planets and points are retrograde. This is normal throughout the calendar year. We now have Uranus retrograde and joining all of the other outer planets retrograde, and then we'll see this Mars retrograde in October. But this is where, when we have these many planets retrograde, there is internal integration occurring, where we're meant to sit with things, sit with the energy, really be in it before moving forward, deciding, making something clear even. It could be like, well, let me have some time with this. Let me just be in this energy, check in on myself, see what's true for me before moving the energy out. So know that with this many planets in retrograde, we are being asked to intentionally slow down and be more conscious of what we're doing, where our energy is being directed, and how it's basically showing up. This is also a time when we check in with the actions and steps we took earlier in the year, because during the first few months of this year is when all of these planets were direct. So the slowdown always benefits us, and it's always something to work with intentionally so that you can be wiser with your own energy. Overall, this is a quieter new moon. It is a bit calmer, even though, yes, there's that square with Mars. It's going to move through pretty fast. So this could be a time when, during the Virgo new moon, something gets to you, something triggers you. Mars is a trigger. Someone else's choices, someone else's words trigger you. Your words, your choices trigger someone, but then it moves through pretty fast. So that can help to understand that the Virgo new moon, I feel like it's coming back into yourself, into your body, into your needs, into how you're spending your days, coming back and looking at, is this healthy for me? Is this healing for me? Is what I'm choosing supporting my energy? Is it serving me? So there could be some things that come to your attention where you sit with those questions, listen to the answers, listen to what's coming through, perhaps again, talk about him with that Mercury in Libra. But overall, a quieter Virgo new moon, which we can gladly welcome and work with after the very big energies of July and August. So I hope this is a new moon that brings you back into yourself, brings you back into the power of what you need on a daily basis. And I also hope it reconnects you to anything you need that sustains you, that supports you, that is best for you at this time, because the Virgo energy can really help us gain clarity on what is important and what is not. So as always, thank you so much for joining me for this lunar video. I will be back with another video for you as we move into September. And please check out the other offerings I have here on my YouTube channel. You'll find a ton in the playlists, and you'll also find new podcast episodes every Monday and Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me. Wishing you a beautiful Virgo new moon, and I'll see you back here soon.